Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the BrickFilmer Podcast, a podcast series where I answer your animation questions. In today's episode, we're going to be covering topics such as how to animate more efficiently, how to script for fight scenes, let's see, some sound effects, and last of all, is AI going to ruin Lego stop motions in the future? So, as you can see, we got a lot to unpack in this episode. So, I'm excited to answer these questions, and let's get right into it. Actually, before we do that, I want to see, do you notice the difference in audio quality in this episode versus the previous ones? Because I just got a new microphone. It's a Blue Yeti microphone. And I'm pretty impressed with how it sounds. And also, speaking of audio, it is currently storming out, so if you hear any thunder, rain, or anything like that, it's not you, it's me. So, with that said, let's hop on to the first question, which is from Nate's Films 2002. He asked, when you want to start promoting yourself, what steps would you take? Different social medias, short form content on said different platforms, etc. And he has another question. What are your thoughts on third-party parts like base plates, pieces for lighting? For example, I bought a few packs of great base plates that were a great price, and some came with adhesive to keep them in place during animations. All right, I'll get to the next question. But I'm going to answer the first question first. Let's see. Promotion on social media. So, I'm guessing you're just like promoting your animations and stuff. We'll go off of that. I think personally YouTube is the best to do for any promotion. If you want to get your animations out there, I think YouTube's the best. That's all I have experience with. The second platform I've seen some animators go on and they've gotten a pretty big following on there would be Instagram. If like that would be a good place to post your animations and like some BTS images and all that good stuff. So if you want to get a different platform other than YouTube to post on, I would say Instagram. I mean, don't do Facebook because I don't know. Yeah, Facebook seems kind of weird for an animator to go on, so I would say Instagram. I personally don't have an Instagram page, but if I were to expand to another social media platform, it would probably be Instagram. It just seems easier to make quick, off the shelf, just BTS videos and reels and images, but that's a lot. That's a lot on my end. I would rather just have everything on YouTube and, just cater to YouTube. Quick side note. As you may have noticed, I say a lot of filler words like, like, and I'm trying to work on not saying those. So if you catch me saying those from here on out, I'm going to challenge myself to not say any filler words. That sounds weird, but I want to challenge myself to do that. So if you notice that I say any filler words moving forward, go ahead and just tell me in the comments. Go ahead and make fun of me, because I want to make this podcast as easy to listen to as possible, and I feel like filler words just crowd up what I'm trying to say. So with that said, Instagram. Oh, I did it again, man. I did it right after I talked about it. Instagram, but I think YouTube, like long form YouTube videos, don't do shorts if you're trying to grow your channel. Like you'll get subscribers, but you won't get a community, an audience who actually watches your long form videos. And to me personally, that matters far more than a metric. Like, you can post a few shorts and it can get a huge following. You can get a lot of subscribers from it, but they're just not that engaged. They're kind of the dopamine your dopamine audience of like, ooh, here's a short, you know. So long form videos. I know animation is hard to make long form. I get that. And you've probably seen my channel recently. Like, I don't make many brick films. I actually haven't made a brick film in a year. No, that's not true. Has it been a year? Let me check on that real quick. Has it been a year since I made an actual brick film? Let's see here. I just want to check real quick. No, okay. It's been 7 months since I've made Smiley Face Dude, which was like my last brick film I made. So, yeah, it's been a bit since I made an actual dedicated brick film. I've just been making challenge videos, tutorials, fun little test videos, and that's how I keep my content going. I wouldn't recommend doing challenge videos. I'll get into more on that later. But I would say, yeah, just short animations, not in like shorts, but like make like a 30 minute, whoops, don't make a 30-minute animation. Don't do that. But make like 30-second long animations. I'm gonna turn this volume down because I feel like I'm peaking my audio into your ears, which I don't want to do. But man, I'm so subconscious with these filler words now that I mentioned it. Okay, anyways, I would say just like 30-second animations, make a cool little story, and just make stuff that you like to make. Don't like optimize for the algorithm, try to make a viral video. I mean, that's fun and all, but I wouldn't chase that if that's what you're implying, that you just want to get more followers, get more viewers, all of that. I'm reading your question again. I'm just trying to make sure I understand what you're saying, because I have another question later on that kind of asked the same question in a different sense. And actually, I'm going to answer that question now. It's from Mango Cubes 1. He asks, this question is more of an opinion probably, but do you have any tips on getting more views, subscribers for smaller stop motion animation YouTubers? All right, I'm just going to put those two questions together because I didn't realize how similar those were. So what I like to say whenever you're focusing on like, oh, I want to get more views, I want to get more subscribers, I want to grow my channel, that's valid. Don't get me wrong, that's valid. You want more eyeballs on your videos because more eyeballs means you're making more of an impact and people are seeing your animations, all that good stuff. We all want that. But I feel like the way we go about doing it kind of, at least the way I did it personally, kind of goes against why we make stop motions in the first place. I don't want to make this a whole don't chase views, just, make videos you want to make. But that's my answer. That's my honest answer. Make videos that you want to make. I've been personally going through this thought process myself. If you look at my challenge videos, I went pretty heavy on challenge videos. I didn't make dozens or anything like that. I made like 4. But those were all because of that first challenge video I made that got like 40,000 views. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is what I'm going to do now, because now, that was a fun video. I genuinely enjoyed making it. And that's why I was like, oh, I can make more. But I started making it with the intention of, I enjoy it, but I don't really want to do it for the views. I want to do it because the algorithm likes it, You see? That's a dangerous mindset, because once you think that, you can trick yourself into thinking, oh yeah, I enjoy making this. But really, all you're doing it for is the views. At least that was what I was doing. And that is a slippery slope. Because if you look at my channel, that first challenge video I made was the most viewed video. All the challenge videos after that slowly got less and less and less and less views. Why? Well, it's not because the first video was the best. I personally enjoyed my second challenge video. I thought that one was the best. The animating Lego, but I can't look at the previous frames. I personally thought that animation was the best. Also like the Christmas one. The reason the Christmas one didn't go well is because I posted it like 2 weeks after Christmas, so it kind of flopped. So that would have went well if I just posted it a month prior to that. So I can't really analyze that. But the reason, it wasn't the video quality, it wasn't I edited it better or anything like that. People were actually saying my more recent challenge videos were their favorite. But I believe the reason my challenge videos after that first one didn't perform that well, don't get me wrong, they got well over 1,000 views per video. Like one got 11,000 views, and then the rest got like a couple thousand views. They didn't flop, but they just didn't do as well as I was hoping, what I was anticipating. And I feel like because I was doing it for the views and the algorithm and all the things you shouldn't be making videos about, that's why they didn't do well. That's kind of ironic, I know. You chase views and you don't get views. That's how I see it. And I feel like you should be making videos that you make it up in your mind and go, even if this video only got 1 view, 10 views, let's say 10 views, even if this video only got 10 views, would I still make this video? Would I still make this animation? And if your answer is yes, then go on and make that video, because that's something you actually want to make. Not for the recognition and the algorithm and the popularity, just because it's something you genuinely want to watch. And that is like more important than any metric. Objectively. Like, that's not an opinion. That is fact. I've lived through that. Chasing views, like, just obliterates creativity and, you know, passion for your craft. It just doesn't jive with me, you know. I know this was a long-winded answer, but just don't chase the views. I'll add to this. Do things that you want to do, and then optimize it through your title, through your thumbnail, through like the layout of the video. Optimize what you were already going to do despite how many views it got, but optimize it so that people would enjoy it and get more out of it. Not for the algorithm. Here's a key thing. A lot of people make videos for the algorithm, but they don't realize you're making videos for people. You optimize for people. You don't optimize for the algorithm. Do stuff you love doing, and then optimize that. Don't go to a whole different sub-niche like a challenge video like what I did just because it got views. Do what you genuinely love doing. Like for me, take this podcast for example. While it is getting a lot more views than I thought it would be averaging like 50 views. So you can tell where my expectations were. It's averaging like 200 views per episode. Now, that's a lot lower than my usual videos. My usual videos average 1,000 to 2,000 views. But is that going to stop me from making podcast episodes because they're not algorithm friendly? No. I found that this may sound really weird, and to a lot of people it will. I found that I like talking about Lego stop motion even more than actually making Lego stop motion. One of the main reasons is because it doesn't take as long. I can literally just flip on a microphone, pull up my computer, get the podcast set up ready, and talk, answer people's questions, because I know I'm actually helping people. And that, I just love that. And to me, that's more impactful than just making a random 30-second stop motion. So for me personally, I don't care if this podcast gets 10 views. I do care if it gets 1,000 views, because that would be really cool. But the point being, I'm just making these videos because I know it actually helps people, the right people. And even if nobody watched it, I'm happy I made it, because it's something I just genuinely enjoy. So that's the kind of content I'm making. Just stuff I would do even if I didn't turn on the camera, even if I didn't turn on a microphone. Because I talk a lot about filmmaking stuff and stop motion, and I just light up whenever I talk about it. So why not turn on the microphone and just make something for you guys, doing something I already do. I've been going down rabbit trails of that thought process, and it's been amazing. It's so freeing. It's so freeing to just make content you just love making despite who watches it. It's so nice. But yeah, I hope that answered your question. That was a very long-winded answer, I know. But hey, I knocked out 2 questions, so it wasn't all that long, right? But I hope that answered your question. And you can tell that's just where I'm at with content. Like, do I really want to make content for the algorithm? No, I want to make content for me and for others. And even if it only gets 100 views, I'm okay with that, because I know it's content I genuinely enjoyed making, and it didn't feel like work to me. I make a podcast episode every other week. I have to keep to a content schedule and film, like this podcast episode I'm filming a day before so I can schedule it. It doesn't feel like work to me. Like, sure, I have to make time and be like, what's a good time to film this? But it doesn't feel like work to me. Once I turn on the mic, I can just answer questions. It's just so nice. Anyways, I'll get off of that train, move on to another one. Moving on to the next question from, oh wow, I actually didn't read your name before this. Walsy the Fish. Epic. It's an epic name. He asked, what are some tips for being more efficient when animating? What are some tips for being more efficient when animating? Boy, oh boy, has this been something I've been trying to get good at myself. Because for those of you who don't know, I tend to be a pretty slow animator. But I have found some ways to actually speed up my animation process without sacrificing quality. I'm going to share that with you. So the number one thing I've been thinking about is something called the 80-20 rule. You've probably heard about it. More than likely you haven't. It's like a productivity thing. And it's amazing how you can apply like productivity principles to stop motion. It actually works because it's just a general principle that you can apply. Really cool. But the 80-20 principle, the 80-20 rule, is where it states that 80% of the results come from 20% of your efforts. That sounds wild, right? That doesn't make sense, but it's true. Let me show you an example here. If you make yourself spend 2 hours animating a certain animation scene, how well do you think it's going to turn out? Pretty good. Like, it'll probably be near perfect. It'll be like 90% of the way there, right? Okay. What if you spend 20 minutes on that same scene? This goes into my other little hack, which is to set time restraints for your animations. If you spend 2 hours making an animation scene, but you made that same scene another time in only 20 minutes, what do you think the animation quality is going to be? Not as good. I will admit that. But it'll still be pretty good. It'll be 80% of the way there. So what I'm getting at here is you simply, like for me, it's like hyperanalyzing my animations, like frame by frame. Oh, does this look good? Does that really look good? Let me get my bifocals on and really look at this thing. Make sure it's following a good path here. Can I do anything better to make this look better? I'm just hyperanalyzing every single frame. And if you want perfection, sure, go for it, But for me personally, I found that I don't want perfection. I want 80% quality. Because the extra 20%, nobody's going to really notice. Like, think about it. Like, I've had animations that I think, man, maybe I'll make better next time. It wasn't that great, Because that's just the nature of it. When you make something, you're your biggest critic. And you see things that most people just won't notice. I post that animation. I forget what it was. Everybody's like, this is amazing. This is the best stuff ever. I'm like, okay. Thank you. I was just sitting there going like, I see like 20 mistakes I made with it. Nobody sees that. Because you see the 20% that you missed, but everybody else sees the 80%. I mean, that's just so cool. So I've learned to not be such a critic. Like, don't get me wrong, make the best animations you can make. But especially with like my talking animations where like tutorials and stuff where my minifigure is just talking. Like this contest video I'm making. I just finished animating some of that. And so I just went, you know what? I'm just going to trust my gut. I'm just going to trust that I know how to animate. I have 6 years of experience under my belt. I should know how to instinctively animate something good. So I literally just started moving the minifigure around, glancing at the frames as I took it, but like, just toggle a little bit and go like, okay, that looks good. And just glazing over it. Because I know it's going to look good regardless. And hyperanalyzing every single frame is not going to fix that. It'll get it like 10% better, but that doesn't matter. Nobody cares. And if I can make an animation 3 to 5 times faster and only lose like 10% quality, you can guess what I'm going to be doing, because I like having time doing other things such as voice acting, editing, scripting the next video. I don't want to spend 2 months on an animation. I want to make it good, yes, but not perfect. Stop motion shouldn't be perfect. Like it should be really, 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 really good. But if you make something perfect, it just feels too perfect, if that makes sense. It feels sterile? No, not sterile. It'll look good, don't get me wrong. But nobody cares about perfect. Nobody goes on YouTube and goes, I will not watch an animation unless it is perfection. If it's 99% there, I am not watching it. People just want to watch a good animation that is pleasing to the eye. If you can make an animation pleasing to the eye, doesn't look choppy, all that good stuff, that comes with practice, then yeah, just do that, and the rest is just extra. Get the timing right, make sure it's nice and smooth, make sure everything follows a clean arc, all of that good stuff. But after that, you don't have to be nitty gritty with like moving the minifigure just a millimeter to the left, a little millimeter to the right. That just gets to be too much. But at the same time, don't rush it. If an animation takes 30 minutes to make, don't try to do it in 10 minutes. There is a level of this to which you're just rushing it and the quality is just not there. When you get to that point, either practice animating faster so you can still get good quality on that time limit, or just take your time with it. I know I kind of contradicted myself there, but it kind of goes in line with itself. If it's a big scene, sure, take your time with it. Make sure you're not, if you have like 6 minifigures running, don't try to time yourself and, actually having a time limit does help you stay focused, because if you stay hyper focused and make sure where every minifigure is at, you can get it done pretty quick. So it still does apply. But there's a fine line to this where you don't want to overrush it just for the sake of, getting a video out by Saturday. You don't do it for that. Kind of do, but you don't optimize everything just for that. You want to animate more efficiently, but not to sacrifice the quality. That's where the 80-20 rule comes in. So I'm trying to bring this all to a point here. Oh, also, one more thing on this is to just animate in like a few hour period. Like, don't animate for 30 minutes and then stop. Because in like the first 15 to 30 minutes, you're just warming up, You're just getting into it. So ideally, you're going to want to animate I animate for like 2 hours in a sitting. I would like to animate for longer, but with my kind of schedule I have, I can't really animate for any longer. But like ideally, I would say animate in like 3 hour spurts. Like take a break every half hour to an hour, stretch your legs, do all that good stuff. Make sure you're not doing the animator bend where you're just hunched over the whole time. But when you animate in like a 3 hour segment, then you're going to warm up to it. And then like for 2 whole hours, you're going to be right on it. You're going to be hyper focused and like get so much done. Because here's the thing. If you animate for an hour in like 4 different sessions, you won't get as much done as if you animated for 3 hours in one session. Sounds a little, out there, but it's true. I've experienced this myself. You do not want to animate in like short little sessions. You want to animate in like longer periods, like 3 hours. If you really wanted to, like 5 hours. There's a point to where you're just going to burn out. But I think 3 hours is a good happy medium to where you warm up to it, you're hyper-focused for a good amount of time, and then you realize you just animated like 30 seconds of animation or something. And that's a nice feeling. So, yeah. Look up the 80-20 rule. It's an interesting topic overall. Really cool and interesting. So look that up. See what you can gather from it. And yeah, that's what I've been working on to animate more efficiently. I hope that made sense for you. I know I kind of rambled there, but that's all right. By the way, we're half an hour into this podcast. We're half an hour into this, and we have 3 more questions to go. Should I go quick I'll just try to go quicker. Yeah. All right. Moving on to the third question from Chronicle Transformers. He asked, next podcast, could you discuss scripting and sound effects design? I asked him to follow up on like what does he mean by scripting, and he asked, he said like for fight scenes, like should you write down every action scene or what? So my answer to the script writing, first off, for fight scenes, you know, it can get a little, because with dialogue scenes, it's easy. You just script the dialogue. You know what they're going to say. Easy peasy. You know, get your shot list. Have everything planned out. For fight scenes, however, you could script it all the way through. I have done that. But that can make for pretty dry fight scenes, right? Because it looks good on paper, but when you actually animate it, it kind of looks, There's no scale. There's no spectacle. Because you're not really envisioning stuff. So what I would say is envision different parts of the fight scene. Different poses, different moves, different like choreography. Like, is this guy gonna like do a front flip? Is the camera gonna have like a big overhead shot as they're throwing punches to like create this really big frame and make it look really cool? Like, where's the camera? Where are the minifigures? What would look cool? And then you list all of the cool shots, maybe even draw them out if you want. List them all out. And then from there, you go, okay, how can I piece all of these together into one coherent fight scene? That's how you do it. Because that ensures you get really good quality, really interesting looking spectacle of like your fight scenes. Like, you know, this guy could do a front flip and, you know, toss this guy on the ground, and, you know, they can do all these cool stuff. So you get a good idea on that, piece it all together, so that way you know, okay, this leads into this, and then this leads into this, and then this leads into that, and you have a whole roadmap already planned out. It doesn't have to be like a shot-for-shot script. Like, you can improvise, and if you get a good idea when you're animating, you can just go, okay, I'm going to animate this next. But it's basically a loose script where you go, okay, I want this, and then I want this, and I want this. You get the picture. That's how I would script fight scenes. Because you don't want to go in it blind and just go like, I'll have him throw a punch just for starters. I'll think about it as I animate. That results in just boring fight scenes. Just think about the camera angle. Think about where your minifigures are. What did I just say? Think about where your minifigures are, and get a full picture of what's happening. That's how I would do it. All right, moving on to the sound effects. Yes, Pixabay and YouTube. Screen record off YouTube for your sound effects, and then Pixabay, you can download some sound effects for free. Very good. And yeah, that's my answer. Moving on to the fourth question from Brick Missile Studios. He asked, who is your favorite LEGO stop motion animator and why? Quick answer, I don't have a favorite. I take from other people's styles, but I don't have a favorite animator because I like a lot of people's different ways to animate and different stuff they make. And so I just take from that. I like a lot of animators. I don't have a favorite. And yes, and okay. He also asked, would you be willing to post a compilation of your old animations? I mean, probably not. They're just really bad. A lot of them make no sense because I just go in animating them without any idea of what I'm making. Like, and they just end. There's no ending. Just, I stop animating and it just ends. There's no, like, the story leads somewhere and then it just ends. That's like the majority of my older animations, because I was like, I just animated something and I went, okay, I'm going to have this now. And then this, okay, here's these characters, here's their story. Okay, then we're going to build off that, go to here, go to here, go to here, go to here. And then I realize I don't actually know where I'm going with this. And then I burn out and have another idea for another animation, and I just make that and leave the other, thinking to myself, I'll get around to it, which I never did. Pro tip, don't try to animate 2 different animations at once. You're going to, fizzle out of one and then just do the other. It's not gonna usually doesn't pan out that well. So would I put it as a compilation? Probably not. There is some like newer unfinished stuff I might, if I have more unfinished animations, I might put it all as a compilation. It's a thought. I might. Probably won't. Because a lot of the animations only made sense in my mind. A lot of them actually didn't have voice lines because I never got around to doing it. Because I didn't actually know what they were going to say. Anyways. So yeah, probably not. Nobody would understand it. It would just be Legos moving at 5 FPS and people would just be like, what is going on? What is going on here? So yeah, probably not. Now that I think about it. All right, we already answered that question. All right, the last and final question. We didn't go too far over time. That's good. I was thinking like, oh no, we're going to go into an hour-long podcast. Oh, man. Okay, let me get this straightened out here. Okay, the last question we have is also from Wolsey the Fish. He made a second. Anyways, I don't know what I was saying. Anyways, he asked, I have a question regarding AI. Do you reckon... I don't mean any offense by this, Wolsey the Fish, but I'm going to say this in a country accent because you just said reckon. You already opened yourself to it. I have a question regarding AI. Do you reckon AI is a threat to the stop motion community? The short answer to that is no. Honestly, no. I have no worries about that. Because no matter how good AI generated slop can get, no matter how good it gets, it's always going to look like artificial Lego. Like, they can try to emulate dust and scratches on the Lego, try to get good at making it look realistic, look like a stop motion. They can try all they want, but at the end of the day, people are going to tell if there were actual fingerprints and like fingers moving the characters every single frame versus if it was just completely computer generated. Not computer generated, that's CGI. That's totally different than AI. Do not confuse that. CGI is good compared to AI because it's actually a visual effects designer doing stuff. So, yeah, don't group those together. They are different. But yeah, I don't see AI taking away anything. It's there's gonna be more people out there just making more generated content. There's people who make AI Lego Bible stories and films. I am just like, honestly, I wouldn't show that to my kids if they were wanting to see Lego Bible stuff. Like, first of all, go Chatter Studios, just watch them. But the stuff is just so creepy. It creeps me out. There's Legos with like 6 fingers. I'm like, what in the world? You're showing this to your kids? That is creepy. And it's just like garbage. And I can see what they're trying to do. Like, oh, we're going to use AI for good. We're going to use AI to, teach the Bible. Great. That's a great thought. But it's kind of a first idea, if you ask me. I get it. You want to make quick stuff that can make an impact on people. And they do get a lot of views, and people are like, this is amazing. I'm just sitting there going, this is creepy. No. Like, I'm not a young kid, and this creeps me out. Like, this is weird. And I'm sure AI is going to get better and actually figure out what a what a Lego looks like one of these days. But yeah, I really want to talk about something, but I'm not going to get into it because I could talk about that forever. Anyways, short answer, no, it's never going to affect the stop motion community. We'll always tell, especially us animators, we'll always tell what's Lego, what's not, what's stop motion, what's not. It's not going to get that good. AI is going to get better. I will admit that. But even if it knows what a Lego is, people are going to tell if there's actual fingerprints that were put on an actual Lego, frame by frame. You know, it's like AI music. You know, there's a lot of AI music going on. Worship music, Christian music. People are like, oh, this is so good. I'm praising this music. I'm sitting there going, that's great. That's great. That's great. But do you guys realize there's no soul in this? Like, it plays like a regular worship song. But you listen to it, there's no soul to it. Like, you don't even have to tell me that's an AI music. It's not just because I have an AI bias. It's not about that. You know, I just listen to it and I'm like, okay, the build-up's there, you know. There's a big build-up, big release. I should feel something. Nope, I don't feel a thing. This feels like this feels more hollow than a tin can, you know? That's literally what it sounds like. There's no soul, there's no heart and spirit put into it. Like people actually playing instruments, even if it's a digital, even if people are like, you know, making music off of a what's it called? Audio designer, music designer program where they just have like digital guitar, digital piano, even that stuff, I feel it. Because there's actually human stuff. And I get it, people put in prompts and their own prompts and stuff. Really? You think just because you write some words it's going to make it you? Please. Don't. No. It's going to be you whenever you actually design the notes. Not design the notes, but like map out the notes, what you're going to play, you know. Especially if it's like raw guitar or piano, like, man, that's character. Like, you just playing the guitar, any little mistake you make, that's character. That's good stuff. That's authentic. And it's the same with stop motion. There's character. People, the average Joe is going to tell, wow, there was actually like soul and character and thought and intention in this. This could not be AI. And they'll know. They'll know. So, yeah, I have no worries about AI taking over stop motion community because stop motion, one thing, is hard to replicate. Lego stop motion, on the other hand, like, yeah, anyways, I have no worries about that. So, with that said, that is the final question. So yeah, hope you got some information and value out of that. I don't know if I mentioned this last podcast. I'm trying to remember, but I am now on Apple Podcast and Spotify. So check me out on there. Yeah. I've heard a lot of people saying like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I can actually listen to your stuff without YouTube ads playing. I'm like, I didn't even think about that. That's cool. I might have to try that, you know. Not that I listen to myself while I animate, but just Spotify and stuff in general. YouTube ads stink. Anyways, I'm on there, and yeah, if you want to sign up to my email newsletter and get weekly animation tips, kind of like what you're getting here, but in like written form on like a specific animation tip that the community kind of just emails me about and wants me to write an email about, is usually how it goes. If you want to sign up for that, it's simply in the description, completely free. You just got to put in your email, and I will be sending you emails every week about animation and stuff. So if that interests you, then be sure to check it out. And yeah. So with that said, thank you so much for watching. God bless you, and have an awesome rest of your day.